Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive that I think you're going to really enjoy.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
We're going to be looking at the mind of Sherlock Holmes.
The one, the only.
Today we'll be exploring some excerpts from the audiobook Mastermind,
A great book, by the way.
and we're going to be focusing on the chapters about his methods,
Yes, his methods for observation and deduction.
Right.
It's really fascinating stuff.
And I think our mission today should be
That's it too.
to figure out how we can become better observers like Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly.
And unlock that power of creative thinking.
That's the key, isn't it?
In our own lives.
Because these skills are so relevant.
Oh, they really are.
Even though Holmes is, a fictional character.
Right.
But whether you're trying to solve a complex problem at work or even just figure out why your houseplant's looking a little droopy.
Right. Or, who stole the cookies from the cookie jar.
Exactly.
The skills of observation and imagination are really helpful.
So let's jump right in and start with that classic scene where Holmes meets Watson for the very first time.
Ah, yes.
And he just declares out of the blue.
Like it's nothing.
You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive.
Right.
Feels like magic, but...
It does, doesn't it?
Is it really?
Well, not really, no.
Can we all learn to do that?
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
Holmes explains it's all about observation.
Okay.
He sees Watson's tan, his weary face, the stiff arm, and these details, they might seem insignificant on their own.
Right.
But Holmes's mind instantly connects them.
Okay.
And forms a picture of, a military doctor who's been through some tough times in a hot climate.
Oh, so it's more than just passively seeing things, right?
Exactly.
He's actively engaging with what he's observing.
Precisely. It's about asking the right questions, like,
okay.
Why is this detail important? How does it connect with what I already know?
So it's like a puzzle.
It is.
Where you're trying to fit the pieces together, but the pieces are information instead of shapes.
You got it.
That reminds me of Dr. Joseph Bell.
Ah, yes.
The real-life inspiration for Sherlock Holmes.
The one and only.
He was known for figuring out a patient's entire life story.
Incredible.
Just by looking at them.
It's amazing what you can learn from observation.
So was Dr. Bell just born with that skill?
Well, no, he wasn't, actually.
Yeah.
He developed it over years and years of practice,
Okay.
Seeing countless patients.
Right.
Learning their stories. Honing his diagnostic abilities.
So being a good observer is a skill you can build.
Exactly.
Like a muscle.
It is like a muscle. You have to exercise it.
Through consistent effort.
You got it.
Okay, so we might not all be Dr. Bell.
Yeah, maybe not.
But we can definitely improve our observation skills.
Absolutely.
So what's the first step?
Well, the first step is to be honest with ourselves.
Okay.
Most of us are kind of like Watson in the beginning.
Okay.
We see things, but we don't really observe them. We get distracted, our attention flits around, and we don't really absorb what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
It's a common problem.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
Me too.
There's always so much going on.
Right. There's always something vying for our attention.
So is there a reason why we do that?
Well, actually, there's a scientific explanation for this.
Okay.
It's called attentional blindness.
Attentional blindness.
Yeah, we can become so focused on one thing that we miss other important details.
Oh, like that policeman in A Study in Scarlet.
Yes.
Who misses the criminal because he's so focused on the crime scene.
Exactly. And he's looking right at the suspect.
He is.
But he doesn't even register him.
Wow.
Because his attention is elsewhere.
That makes you wonder what we're all missing every day.
It does, doesn't it?
Just because we're not paying attention in the right way.
It's a little unsettling when you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
But the good news is that there are things we can do to improve. There are definitely strategies we can use to sharpen our attention and become more like Holmes.
Okay, what do we have to do?
Well, it all starts with understanding the 4 elements that enable mindful observation.
Okay.
And the first one...
Give it to me.
...is selectivity.
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 Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it means choosing what to focus on.
Okay.
Because it's not about trying to notice everything.
Right.
That's impossible.
Right. You can't pay attention to it.
Exactly. So it's about filtering out the noise
Uh-huh.
and choosing where to direct your attention based on your goals.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's like that scenario in the book where a man walks by a bakery.
Oh, yeah.
If he's trying to resist temptation, he might focus on, the messy napkins or the burnt coffee smell.
Right.
But if he's feeling indulgent,
Uh-huh.
all he'll see are the delicious pastries.
Right.
Same bakery.
Yeah.
But his mindset determines what he pays attention to.
So our goals and motivations shape how we see the world.
They really do. And it's not just about bakeries, it's about everything.
Everything.
The people we interact with, the problems we face, the opportunities.
Exactly.
So it's all about what we choose to focus on.
It is. And, we've all experienced that feeling of being drawn to certain things.
Right.
Based on our mood or what we're thinking about.
Exactly.
So that's selectivity.
Okay, so what's next?
The second element is objectivity.
Okay.
And this is about separating the actual facts of a situation from our own subjective interpretations.
So it's about seeing things as they really are without letting our own opinions get in the way.
Exactly. And, our interpretations can be colored by our biases and preconceptions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And the story of the missing schoolboy and the adventure of the Priory School.
Okay.
That's a perfect example.
How so?
Well, everyone jumps to conclusions.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. They assume that the schoolmaster must be involved.
Why?
Because he disappeared too.
Oh, okay.
But Holmes, he takes a more detached approach.
Yeah.
He focuses on the facts.
Okay.
A missing boy, a missing schoolmaster.
Okay.
Without adding any labels or judgments.
Okay, so he's not assuming anything.
Exactly. And this allows him to see the evidence in a new light. And eventually uncover the truth.
So we need to be careful about letting our own biases color our observations.
We do. It's a trap we can easily fall into.
Okay, got it. What else should we be focusing on?
Well, the third element is inclusivity.
Inclusivity.
It may seem like an odd word to use.
It does.
When talking about observation. But it's about engaging all of our senses. Not just relying on sight.
So we experience the world through multiple senses, not just visually.
Precisely.
Okay.
Remember the missing boot in The Hound of the Baskervilles?
Yeah.
Everyone else dismisses it as a weird detail.
They do.
But Holmes sees it as a crucial clue.
Wow.
He realizes the hound must be real and relies on scent.
Interesting.
He even picks up a trace of jasmine from the anonymous note that Henry receives. He does. And that helps him identify the culprit later on.
It's amazing how one small detail can make such a big difference.
It really can.
So we shouldn't neglect any of our senses
Well, shouldn't.
when we're trying to observe something carefully.
No, we should use all of them.
They're all providing information.
They are.
Even if we don't consciously realize it.
Exactly. And those subtle cues can be surprisingly powerful.
Okay, so give me an example.
Well, think about buying a car.
Okay.
You might think you're making a purely rational decision.
Like based on price and features?
Right. But then whiff of gasoline triggers a subconscious fear of accidents.
Okay.
Or the smell of leather evokes happy childhood memories. And suddenly you're driving off the lot with a car you never even intended to buy.
So our senses are much more influential than we realize.
They are much more than we realize.
Wow, I never really thought about it that way.
It's something to keep in mind.
Okay, so we've covered selectivity, objectivity, and inclusivity.
Right, those are 3 of the 4 elements.
So what's the final element?
The fourth, and possibly the most important element, is engagement.
Engagement.
Yes. It's about being actively present and interested in what you're observing.
Okay.
It's about fighting that mental laziness that can make us miss vital details.
That makes sense because if you're not really interested in something, you're probably not going to pay close attention to.
You're not going to be fully engaged.
Right.
Even Holmes himself makes a near-fatal mistake.
He does?
He does in The Stockbroker's Clerk.
Really?
Because he loses interest in the case.
Oh, wow.
He becomes so sure he's solved it that he misses a crucial piece of evidence. His lack of engagement almost costs his client his life.
So even the greatest minds can falter if they lose focus.
They can.
It seems like maintaining that genuine interest and curiosity is key to being a good observer.
It is the key.
So is there like a scientific explanation for this?
Well, yes, actually. When we're engaged, we experience what's called flow.
Flow?
Yeah, this is a state of complete absorption.
Okay.
Where we lose track of time and effort.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely felt that.
We all have.
When you're just completely absorbed in something?
Exactly. And flow doesn't just improve our performance.
It doesn't.
No, it makes us happier and more fulfilled as well.
Oh, wow.
So finding activities that genuinely capture our interest and allow us to enter that flow state can actually help us become better observers overall.
That's fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
It seems like we've covered a lot about becoming a better observer.
We have. We've covered the 4 key elements.
So where do we go from here?
Well, attentive observation is a fantastic starting point.
Okay.
But it's only the first step.
Oh, there's more?
Oh, yes. There's much more to explore.
Okay.
To truly unlock that Sherlockian power of deduction, we need to explore another essential skill,
Okay.
the power of imagination.
Imagination.
Imagination, and that's where our deep dive continues in part 2. So we've talked about becoming better observers,
We have.
but now let's talk about something that might seem a little unexpected.
What's that?
Imagination.
Imagination.
Yeah.
But isn't that more for, artists and dreamers?
Right.
It doesn't really seem like a crucial skill
Yeah.
for a logical thinker like Sherlock Holmes.
Well, that's a common misconception.
Okay.
Remember that scene in The Adventure of the Norwood Builder
Uh-huh.
where Holmes clashes with Inspector Lestrade?
Yeah.
The evidence against the young solicitor seems pretty damning.
Okay.
You've got the inheritance, the bloody walking stick.
Mm-hmm.
Lestrade thinks it's an open and shut case.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
But Holmes wasn't convinced.
Not at all.
Right.
He tells Lestrade he's not using his imagination.
Okay.
And Lestrade practically scoffs at that,
He does.
thinking, imagination is for novelists, not for practical men of action.
Holmes proves him wrong.
He does,
Right.
by pointing out all the inconsistencies that Lestrade missed.
Because he was stuck in a linear, obvious way of thinking.
Precisely, he hadn't even considered other possibilities.
And
That's why he was about to convict an innocent man.
that's a great example.
It is.
So what exactly did Holmes mean by imagination?
Right.
It's not just about daydreaming, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He's talking about a specific kind of imagination,
Okay.
one that's grounded in observation and knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but open to creative leaps and hypothetical thinking.
It's like that famous quote from Einstein.
Yes.
Imagination encircles the world.
A great quote.
He was obviously a brilliant logical thinker,
He was.
but he also recognized that imagination allowed him to
Right.
break free from conventional thinking
Right.
and make those groundbreaking discoveries.
Exactly. And, even Richard Feynman,
Okay.
who was a Nobel Prize-winning physicist,
Okay.
he emphasized the importance of imagination in science.
Maybe.
Yeah, he said it's not about, randomly conjuring up ideas.
Right.
It's about imagining possibilities that fit with what we already know,
Okay.
but go beyond what we've already thought of.
So how do we actually put this imaginative process into practice?
Well, it starts with those careful observations.
Okay. The ones we were talking about.
Yeah, we gather those details,
Uh-huh.
then let our minds play with them,
Okay.
rearrange them, explore connections, create hypothetical scenarios.
So we're building a model in our minds
We are.
and testing out different configurations to see what fits.
Exactly.
That sounds kind of fun, actually.
It should be.
Right.
Yeah, this process is meant to be playful and exploratory.
Okay.
It's about having fun with possibilities
Uh-huh.
without getting bogged down in rigid thinking.
That reminds me of the concept of the brain attic.
Oh, yes.
It's not just a storage space for random facts.
Oh, yeah.
It's a dynamic workshop where we can combine and recombine ideas
You got it.
to create something entirely new.
Exactly. But there's a challenge.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're often our own worst enemies.
Are we?
Yeah, when it comes to imagination.
Okay, how so?
We have this natural fear of uncertainty,
Okay.
a preference for what's safe and familiar, and this makes us resistant to new ideas,
Right.
even when they could lead to breakthroughs.
I think we've all experienced that.
Right.
That hesitation when faced with something new or unfamiliar.
Exactly.
So how do we overcome this imaginative block?
One crucial strategy is creating distance.
Distance.
Yeah.
You mean physically moving away from the problem?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We're talking about psychological distance.
Psychological distance.
Yeah, it's about stepping back from the problem,
Uh-huh.
giving our minds a break,
Oh, okay.
and allowing those creative connections to form
Okay.
without the pressure of immediate action.
Like when Holmes would work on his three-pipe problems,
Yes.
he'd relax, smoke his pipe, and let his mind wander.
Exactly.
He wasn't being lazy.
Right.
He was creating the mental space.
He was aha moments to emerge.
He understood that sometimes the best way to solve a problem
Yeah.
is to stop thinking about it directly.
Interesting.
So engaging in unrelated activities,
Like what?
playing his violin, listening to music.
Okay.
These were actually strategic tools.
They were.
Yeah, for stimulating his imagination.
So we shouldn't feel guilty about taking breaks
No,
or doing something enjoyable when we're stuck.
absolutely not. In fact, modern research backs this up.
Does it?
Yeah, engaging in unrelated activities,
Awesome.
especially physical ones,
Okay.
can boost creativity.
Wow.
It's about giving your brain a break from the mental grind
Okay.
so those subconscious connections can rise to the surface.
It's like You're working on a complex puzzle, and you hit a wall. So you step away, go for a walk,
Right.
maybe do some gardening.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, while you're doing something completely different,
Right.
the solution pops into your head.
Yeah. It's like your brain was working on the problem in the background.
Yeah.
And the distance allowed the solution to crystallize.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to step back to see the bigger picture.
Okay.
Speaking of seeing things differently,
Okay.
another powerful technique for fostering imagination is reframing the problem.
Reframing.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's about looking at a problem from a new angle,
Okay.
changing our perspective, challenging our assumptions.
Okay.
It's asking ourselves, what if, and exploring those possibilities,
Okay.
even if they seem a little strange at first.
So instead of getting stuck in a fixed mindset,
Exactly.
we need to be more flexible in our thinking.
You got it.
But how do we actually reframe a problem effectively?
Well, let's go back to that classic experiment
Okay.
with the candle problem.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, you have to attach a candle to the wall
Uh-huh.
using only a box of matches tacks
Right.
and the candle itself.
Right. I remember that one. Most people struggle with it
They do?
because they get fixated on the box
They do.
as just a container, not as a potential platform for the candle.
Exactly. They're limited by their assumptions,
Right.
by what we call functional fixedness.
Oh, okay.
But if you reframe the box as a platform
Okay.
instead of just a container,
Uh-huh.
the solution becomes obvious.
Yeah.
It's a small shift in perspective,
Right.
but it opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
That's such a simple but powerful example.
It is.
So reframing is about seeing the potential in things beyond their typical use.
Exactly.
How can we apply this in everyday life?
Well, it applies to all sorts of problems.
Okay.
Imagine facing a career dilemma.
Okay.
Instead of seeing it as a threat to your security, you could reframe it as an opportunity for growth.
Okay.
Or if you're dealing with a conflict in a relationship,
Okay.
you could reframe it as a chance to improve communication
Okay.
instead of a sign of incompatibility.
So it's not about ignoring the problem.
No.
It's about actively choosing how we view it.
Exactly.
And that choice can have a big impact
It can.
on our ability to find creative solutions.
You've hit the nail on the head.
And this connects back to the importance of mindfulness.
It does.
By paying attention to our thoughts and feelings, we can catch ourselves
Right.
when we're falling into negative thought patterns.
Or it can-
like,
yeah.
this is impossible, or
Yeah.
I'll never figure this out.
Exactly.
Instead, we can make a conscious choice to reframe the situation.
We can.
Look for the opportunity hidden within the challenge.
Yeah.
Embrace uncertainty as a chance to grow and discover.
Right.
It's about shifting from a mindset of fear to a mindset of possibility.
Exactly. And here's where the connection between observation
Okay.
and imagination becomes truly powerful.
Okay. How so?
When we combine those meticulous observation
Right.
with playful exploration
Yeah.
and imagination,
Yeah. Wait.
we create a mental model of the situation.
That's much richer and more nuanced
Darn.
than anything we could achieve through logic alone.
It's like those 3D puzzles where you have to fit the pieces together from all different angles. You can't just force them. You have to experiment,
Right.
rotate them,
Yeah.
and try different approaches
Exactly.
until you find the perfect fit.
Right.
It requires both careful observation
Yes.
of the individual pieces
Uh-huh.
and the willingness to imagine how they might connect
Yeah.
in unexpected ways.
That's a great analogy.
So we've talked about gathering observations,
Right.
creating distance, and reframing problems.
Those are 3 key steps.
So what's the next step?
Well, I imagine it's time to start generating ideas.
Oh, okay.
But that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Right, that blank page.
At the blank page.
That pressure to be brilliant.
Yeah, the pressure can be paralyzing.
So is there a way to overcome that?
Well, there are definitely techniques we can use.
Okay, like what? One effective approach is called divergent thinking.
Divergent thinking.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's about generating as many ideas as possible
Okay.
without censoring ourselves
Mm-hmm.
or worrying about whether they're good, bad, feasible or not.
So it's like a mental free-for-all.
It is.
Just let the ideas flow,
Exactly.
even if they seem crazy
Even if they seem crazy.
or impractical.
Yeah. The goal is to break free from those conventional patterns of thinking
Uh-huh.
and explore the full spectrum of possibilities.
Okay.
And here's the key.
Okay.
Don't judge the ideas as they come.
Okay.
Just write them down, sketch them out, whatever works for you.
Okay.
The evaluation comes later.
So it's about quantity over quality in the beginning stages.
It is.
It's like throwing a giant net into the ocean of our minds.
Yes.
And seeing what we catch.
Exactly.
We might end up with some seaweed and old boots.
Right.
But we might also find a prize-winning fish.
You never know what treasures are hiding until you cast a wide net. Once we have this abundance of ideas, then we can start sorting through them, evaluating their feasibility, and refining the most promising ones. But that initial burst of divergent thinking is crucial for breaking free from mental ruts and expanding our creative horizons.
So it's not about magically becoming a fountain of brilliant ideas.
Not at all.
It's about setting the stage for creativity to flourish.
That's exactly.
Cultivating a mindset of playfulness and exploration and trusting that our brains will do the rest.
You got it.
And remember, this isn't just about solving problems or making decisions.
It's not.
Imagination is a powerful tool for enriching our lives.
It is.
In countless ways.
It allows us to empathize with others, appreciate beauty, find humor in everyday situations, and envision a better future.
So imagination is about more than just practicality.
It is.
It's about connecting with the world around us on a deeper level.
Precisely. Let's not underestimate the power of imagination.
We won't.
It's not just a frivolous indulgence. It's an essential skill for navigating the complexities of life, finding meaning and purpose, and shaping a world that reflects our values and aspirations.
That's powerful stuff.
It is.
This has been so insightful.
It has been fun.
But how do we actually take these concepts of observation and imagination and use them to make a real difference in our lives?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Can't wait. Okay, so we've talked about how to observe, like, Sherlock Holmes. And how to unleash that power of imagination.
Yes, indeed.
But now the big question.
The big question.
How do we actually put all of this into practice in our daily lives?
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is,
what's that?
These skills aren't just for detectives or scientists. They're for everyone.
So we're not all going to start wearing deerstalker hats.
Oh, why not?
And carrying magnifying glasses.
Well, maybe some of us will.
But we can all apply these principles of observation and creative thinking to the situations that we face every single day.
To everyday life.
Right.
Think about work, for instance.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you're a teacher, a doctor, an entrepreneur, an artist.
Okay.
Your success depends on your ability to see patterns, to solve problems, and to make good decisions.
I can see how that would be true.
Right.
Imagine you're a doctor trying to figure out what's wrong with a patient.
Okay.
You've checked all the symptoms, run all the tests, but the answer still eludes you.
That's when you call on those Sherlockian skills.
Oh, okay. So what do you do?
You revisit your observations.
Okay.
Ask yourself, are you missing anything?
Okay.
Are you letting your assumptions get in the way?
Right. Could there be a hidden connection?
Exactly.
Between symptoms that seem completely unrelated? Maybe step back. Right. Give yourself some mental space. Yeah, clear your head. Maybe even do something completely unrelated just to clear your head.
And then you start exploring the possibilities.
Right.
Considering different diagnoses and imagining how various factors might be interacting. And that's often when the breakthrough happens.
It is.
Yeah, that aha moment when you see a connection you hadn't noticed before and the pieces of the puzzle fall into place.
So it's not magic. It's not magic. It's the power of observation and imagination.
Working together.
It's amazing how these skills can be applied to such a wide range of situations.
It's not just about work either.
Oh, okay.
Our relationships can benefit from these principles as well.
That's true.
How often do misunderstandings happen?
Oh, all the time.
Because we're not really listening, or because we jump to conclusions based on our own biases and expectations?
We've all been there.
I know I have.
It seems like those principles of inclusivity and engagement would be really helpful.
They're essential.
In these situations.
Right. We need to listen not just with our ears, with all our senses.
Oh.
What's the other person's body language telling us? What's the tone of their voice? Are we picking up on those subtle emotional cues?
And we need to be truly present in the conversation.
We do.
Not just mentally preparing our responses.
Right. Or checking our phones.
Right. Exactly.
When we're genuinely engaged, we can move beyond just the words. Understand the deeper meaning and build those connections of trust and empathy.
So it's about becoming more attuned to those unspoken signals.
It is.
like Holmes was.
Exactly. He understood that human behavior is often driven by emotions and hidden motives.
Okay.
And he used that understanding to navigate complex social interactions.
So it's not about becoming a mind reader or trying to manipulate people.
Not at all.
It's about developing a sensitivity and awareness that can lead to more fulfilling relationships.
That's a great way to put it. And here's another important point.
Okay.
Imagination isn't just about solving problems or making decisions.
It's not.
No, it's also about creating something new.
Oh, that's right. It's about tapping into that creative potential that's within all of us.
It is.
Whether we're writing a novel or starting a business or just finding a new way to make our kids laugh.
Exactly. Think about Dick Fosbury.
Okay.
The high jumper who revolutionized his sport by jumping backwards.
I remember him.
Everyone thought he was crazy.
Really?
But he trusted his intuition.
Okay.
He experimented, and he refused to be limited by conventional thinking. The result? A technique that's now standard in high jumping.
It's inspiring to see how someone's imagination can lead to such groundbreaking innovation.
It is inspiring.
It seems like the key is to question the status quo.
Right.
Challenge those "that's just how it's done" assumptions, and dare to imagine a different way.
That's the spirit, and that's what Sherlock Holmes embodies.
Yeah.
He challenged the conventions of detective work and created a whole new approach based on observation logic and, yes, even imagination.
So what does this all mean for our listeners?
It means we all have a bit of Sherlock Holmes within us.
We do.
We all have the potential to become better observers, more creative thinkers, and make more insightful decisions.
So it's not about becoming superhuman or achieving some unrealistic ideal.
No, not at all.
It's about taking these principles and applying them to our own lives.
Exactly.
To our own unique challenges and goals.
It's about becoming more mindful, more engaged.
More open to the possibilities all around us.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of observation and imagination, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
I love it. What if you approached your life with a renewed sense of curiosity?
Okay.
A willingness to see the world through fresh eyes, and that playful exploratory spirit we've been talking about.
What if you became your own personal Sherlock Holmes?
That's a great idea.
Unlocking the secrets hidden within your own experiences. And discovering connections that have always been there, just waiting to be revealed.
That's the challenge.
It's an invitation to explore the extraordinary potential that lies within each of us.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep observing.
Keep imagining.
And keep exploring the game, as they say, is afoot.